I'm Patty Ann Brown, and you're in the strategy room. The 2016 Republican field keeps getting bigger and bigger. Add Ohio Governor John Kasich to the list of potential GOP candidates. Kasich, who has served at both the federal and state levels, is selling the idea that he has more experience than any other competitor. Could this pitch work with primary voters? Here with their take are political strategists Taryn Rosenkranz, a Democrat, and Pidot, a Republican. Welcome to both of you. So, John Kasich was a state senator. He had 9 terms in Congress. He was elected governor twice. He defeated a Democratic incumbent the first time and then won re-election last year with 63% of the vote. And this is in Ohio, which is a very important state for Republicans. So let's start with Flip. How do you feel about his presidential credentials?
Well, he's got a strong resume, I think, both in terms of his actual political experience and his economic track record in Ohio. I think maybe the problem for Kasich, though, is who gets enthused about him and how. Is he sort of the Scott Walker light in that he's gone up against unions but with less success? Is he the economic pragmatist? Is he sort of the more centrist Republican? But with such a crowded field, he may not have to really coalesce such a big niche of supporters or craft such an indelible identity at this point. If he can sort of hang on, be solid, avoid scandals, and let the others duke it out, maybe he battles into the sort of upper range of the second tier or even in the first tier after a few debates if he does well.
All right, Taryn, how do you size up his credentials?
Well, I would say, most importantly, it's interesting that he's touting his experience as his real ticket to the White House, when I'm not sure he's not discounting the words lifelong politician as having a stigma associated with them. I think it actually could be kind of harmful to be walking around talking about all of your experience in politics and lifelong, sort of being a politician, when a lot of the public is very sick of politicians and sort of wants something different. So I do think it's an interesting angle for him to go at. I mean, I don't think that anyone can argue that he doesn't have experience and that he has good experience, but it just might not be the right fit for this election in particular.
Well, he was an investment banker at Lehman Brothers for a stint there in the midst of all of the political positions that he's held. But also, Real Clear Politics points out that on Kasich's watch, unemployment fell 4 points, income taxes were cut to stimulate the economy, and an $8 billion budget shortfall was erased. But there is also controversy over the fact that he accepted the Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act. Flip, what impact might all of that have?
Well, I think the Republicans do want a candidate who can offer a full-throated opposition to Obamacare. Of course, Romney had that problem in 2012. So the Medicaid expansion in Ohio is probably something of a handicap for him. But I think to Taryn's point, it's a good one that the moniker of lifelong politician can be as much of a disadvantage as an advantage, unless he can really point to his solid economic track record. And if that resonates with voters, then you can translate the experience not just sort of treading water and holding positions, but actually getting something done that people want done at the federal level. But it's a mixed bag when you come in with that much experience. It can cut both ways.
Yeah, Taryn, other than the experience issue, what do you see as Kasich's main negatives?
Well, I mean, I think, with the experience is going to come the baggage of that experience. So he's got, a lifelong of policies and votes and things that people can dig into. And I also think the other thing is his persona is just not that different than Scott Walker, who seems to have all the buzz, right? So he's got the Midwestern, he's got some of those roots. But how is he going to distinguish himself when I loved what Flip said earlier. It's probably the only time I'll like what Flip says, right? But that he's Scott Walker light. I think if you're already sort of being called that right out of the gate, and the other thing is I think the stage has been set a little bit, and he's a little bit, it sounds weird to say, but he's a little late to the game almost, because the buzz is just not there for him. Well, yeah. And I think that's a negative for him.
That Republican field, as you point out, very crowded. Let's take a look at the latest Fox News poll. It lists 16 potential candidates, and as you can see, Kasich comes in 10th, getting just 2% of the vote. But, I mean, your front runner there only gets 13%. Flip, is there room for him?
I think potentially. Again, I think he's got a tricky road, but if he can hang on while others take themselves out of contention through gaffes and scandals, he's got a shot. One thing, interesting counterpoint to these numbers, the polling numbers, is if you look at prediction markets where people are actually trading on these outcomes with real money, which is what I do. The numbers are actually a lot better for Kasich than the polling shows. He's not top tier, but he's trading at around 15-16% odds to get the nomination, which is behind Walker, Rubio, Bush, and Paul, but it's ahead of Huckabee and Christie and Ted Cruz and several of the other kind of mid-tier candidates. So I think that people who are actually analyzing this race, trying to see does he have a path, they're saying he's not necessarily a front runner, but that he's in the mix.
Interesting. All right, Taryn, looking at that crowded field, is there the danger for Republicans that they're all just going to attack each other and self-destruct?
Well, any Democratic strategist will tell you that that's always the hope, right? That they'll eat their own in the middle of the primary. But, in all seriousness, I would say, I do think there's a lot of potential for that. I think there's also a lot of potential. There's still this struggle in the Republican Party that's become apparent to every American between, how far are they willing to go? What does the modern conservative look like? And I think we're seeing that struggle really embodied in the GOP primary with so many different kinds of Republicans at the table. It's going to be interesting to see who wins the battle royale.
All right, Taryn Rosenkranz, Flip Pidot, thank you both for joining us today. And check out foxnews.com for more on the 2016 presidential race. I'm Patty Ann Brown. Thanks for watching.